The emergency beacon blinked red across every command screen in the Galactic Security Council chamber. Admiral Krell's 3 eyes focused on the holographic display hovering before him, showing a small blue planet rotating peacefully in the void. "Earth, let me understand this correctly," Krell said, his voice carrying the weight of 2 centuries commanding the Outer Rim fleets. "You want me to believe that this planet with absolutely no orbital defense platforms, no planetary shields, and not even a single functioning moon base, has gone untouched for over 300 cycles?" Counselor Vex shifted her tentacles nervously. She had seen this conversation play out before. Always the same. Always the disbelief. "That is correct, Admiral." "Impossible." Skrell slammed 4 of his appendages on the console. "The Draxian horde alone has conquered 47 systems in that time frame. The coordinates for this Earth place it directly in 3 major invasion corridors. Someone would have taken it by now. Someone always does." And yet, Vex replied, pulling up historical data streams, 17 different species have sent preliminary scouting forces toward Earth. Guess how many returned to launch full invasions? Krell's scales rippled with irritation. "How many?" "0. The word hung in the air like a death sentence. "0, Krell repeated slowly. "You are telling me that 17 scouting operations, presumably staffed by trained military personnel with functioning survival instincts, all decided independently that this defenseless planet was not worth conquering. Oh, they wanted to conquer it," Vex said, her voice dropping to something resembling respect, or possibly fear. "They just, shall we say, reconsidered their priorities after closer observation." Krell magnified the Earth display. Oceans, continents, swirling white clouds. It looked peaceful, inviting, even, resources everywhere. The scans showed industrial capacity, population centers, transportation networks. Everything a growing empire needed. "Show me the reports," he demanded. Vex hesitated. "Admiral, perhaps we should..." "Show me." The first report materialized. "Scouting Team Gamma 9, Furlian Empire, 280 cycles ago." Krell read aloud. "Initial assessment positive. Abundant resources. Primitive space capability. Recommend immediate invasion force." He looked up. "Sounds promising. What happened?" "Keep reading." Distendum filed 6 rotations later. Kurill's voice grew quieter. "Mission abort recommended. Species designation human demonstrates extreme unpredictability. Observed internal conflicts utilizing weapons capable of planetary extinction. These weapons are not deployed for conquest. Repeat, not for conquest. They maintain thousands of these devices purely to threaten each other. Psychological assessment suggests species-wide instability. Invasion deemed high risk." "That was the polite report," Vex noted. Krell pulled up another. "Draxian Scout Expedition. 190 cycles ago. This cannot be accurate," Krell said, scanning the text. "It says here they watched humans voluntarily dive into water with territorial predators, for recreation. The Draxians sent 3 follow-up teams to verify. All confirmed. And this section about deliberately consuming chemical compounds that poison their own cognitive functions, then operating mechanical vehicles at high speeds. Every weekend." According to the surveillance data, Krell felt a headache forming behind his primary eye. "What kind of species poisons itself for entertainment?" "The kind you do not invade," Vex said simply. But Krell was not convinced. He scrolled through more reports. The pattern became disturbing. Humans arguing over resources they had in abundance. Humans creating complex social structures, then deliberately undermining them. Humans forming alliances, breaking them, reforming them with former enemies against former friends. "This makes no strategic sense," Krell muttered. "Now you understand why no one attacks them." "I understand nothing." Krell's scales flushed orange with frustration. "These creatures should have destroyed themselves millennia ago. The statistical probability of a species this chaotic developing space travel approaches 0. Yet here they are." Vex pulled up a new file. "Perhaps this will clarify matters. Battle of Terra Station, 93 cycles ago." "Wait," Krell's eyes widened. "Someone actually engaged them." The Zephron Collective assumed the reports were exaggerated. They sent a subjugation fleet, 200 warships, state-of-the-art technology, crew of 50,000. And that the humans had 4 outdated defense satellites, and approximately 24 atmospheric fighters that technically should not function in void combat. Krell leaned forward. The Zephyrons withdrew. The Zephyrons were destroyed. Silence. That is impossible, Krell said finally. The humans did not destroy them through superior technology. Vex explained, pulling up tactical recordings. They destroyed them through sheer concentrated beautiful insanity. Watch. The hologram showed human pilots deliberately disabling their own life support systems to reduce mass for faster acceleration, ships burning retrograde against all tactical doctrine because the enemy would not expect it, fighters ramming warships at velocities that guaranteed mutual destruction. They sacrificed entire squadrons, Krell whispered. Without hesitation. That was not even the impressive part. Vex fast-forwarded the recording. Here. When the Zephyrons breached Terra Station expecting surrender, the human civilians fought back with maintenance tools. A species that cannot agree on basic governance protocols somehow instantly unified against external threats. The recording showed humans in non-military clothing wielding improvised weapons against armored soldiers. They lost. They kept fighting anyway. The Zephyrons reported that even when physically restrained, the humans continued verbal resistance, something they called trash talk. Apparently it severely damaged morale. Krell watched a human female, restrained by 3 Zephyron soldiers, somehow managing to insult their combat effectiveness, genetic lineage, and personal hygiene simultaneously. What happened to the Zephyron collective? He asked quietly. The humans sent a response fleet, not to invade. They simply delivered a message. Vex pulled up the transmission log. It said, and I quote, "You have our attention. You do not want our attention. Leave. Do not return. We have more creative things to destroy than you." And the Zephyrons withdrew immediately, dissolved their collective shortly after. Historians believe the psychological trauma was civilization ending. Krell stared at the blue planet rotating peacefully on the display. So innocent looking, so deadly. There is one more thing you should see, Vex said, pulling up recent surveillance data. Current human activity. The screen showed massive construction projects, cities rising, agricultural expansion, cultural exchanges, peace negotiations between human factions. They appear stable, Krell observed. For now, last year, 2 of their nation-states nearly initiated nuclear warfare over fishing rights. Nuclear warfare over fish. They resolved it peacefully. After positioning their extinction-level weapons and calculating casualty projections, then someone suggested sharing the fishing waters, and everyone agreed that sounded reasonable. Krell felt something he rarely experienced anymore. Fear. So the answer to why no one attacks Earth, he said slowly, is that these humans are either brilliant strategists who have cultivated a reputation for instability as a defense mechanism, or they are genuinely unstable and simply lucky enough to have survived this long. Yes. Which is it? Vex's tentacles formed what might have been a shrug. No one knows, Admiral, and that uncertainty is precisely why their planet remains untouched. You cannot strategize against an opponent whose own behavior is unpredictable to themselves. Krell looked at the peaceful blue planet one final time, then closed the display. Mark Earth as a no-contact zone. He ordered, permanent designation. Any fleet that approaches those coordinates will be recalled immediately. A wise decision, Admiral. As Vex departed, Krell accessed one final piece of data. Human entertainment broadcasts. He needed to understand these creatures better. The first program showed humans voluntarily entering a structure called a haunted house, paying currency to be frightened by simulated dangers. Krell closed the file. Some species, he decided, were better observed from a great distance. A very great distance. 3 cycles later, Admiral Krell found himself staring at Earth again. He told himself it was routine surveillance, standard protocol for no-contact zones. Nothing more. The truth sat heavier in his gut. "You are obsessing," Commander Thane observed, entering the observation deck. Her vertical pupils contracted as she studied the display. "This is the 14th time you have accessed Earth monitoring data this rotation. I need to understand," Krell said simply. "How does a species this contradictory survive? How do they function? Perhaps they do not function. Perhaps they simply exist." Krell pulled up new data streams. Human communication networks, billions of messages transmitted every rotation. He activated the translation protocols, and immediately regretted it. "They are arguing," he said. Incredulous. About everything, simultaneously. Thane leaned closer. What are the primary conflict points? There are no primary conflict points. They argue about food preparation methods, historical interpretations, the correct way to arrange furniture, whether a particular garment is one color or another color. They have dedicated entire communication platforms to disagreeing with each other, and yet they have not self-destructed. That is what disturbs me. A priority alert flashed across Krell's console. His scales went rigid. What is it? Thane demanded. The Korvath Empire just launched a fleet toward Earth. Both officers froze. The Korvath were not scouts. They were conquerors, efficient, ruthless, and utterly convinced of their own superiority. They had claimed 18 systems in the past 50 cycles alone. How many ships? Thane asked. 500 full invasion configuration. Do we intervene? Krell considered the question. The Galactic Security Council had protocols against interfering in territorial disputes. But this felt different. This felt like watching someone juggle active plasma grenades without knowing what plasma was. We observe, he decided. And we prepare emergency evacuation protocols for neighboring systems. You think the humans will lose? I think someone will lose. I am not certain who. The Korvath fleet entered Earth's solar system with typical efficiency. Weapons charged, shields active, invasion forces ready. Their commander, Overlord Drax, broadcast on all frequencies. Primitive species of Earth. You will submit to Korvath authority. Resistance is futile. Surrender is your only logical option. Krell and Thane watched the human response channels. Silence. Then, after what seemed like deliberate delay, a single transmission. New phone. Who dis? Krell checked his translation matrix. That cannot be correct. The humans are mocking them, Thane said, something like admiration in her voice. While facing 500 warships, they are mocking them. Drax apparently reached the same conclusion. His second transmission carried significantly more menace. This is your final warning. Surrender or face extinction. The human response came faster this time. Multiple transmissions from multiple locations. Extinction is our specialty. You sure you want to do this? We have been bored lately. Someone check if our insurance covers alien invasions. Krell watched Drax's vital signs spike across the command frequency. Confusion. Anger. Something that might have been uncertainty. They are not taking us seriously. Drax told his officers. Activate weapons. Fire a warning shot at their moon. The moon, Krell knew from his research, held sentimental value for humans. They had visited it, planted flags, written poetry about it. This would provoke a response. The Korvath weapons fired. Earth's moon acquired a new crater approximately 3 kilometers wide. Now we will see their true nature. Drax announced confidently. The human response came within seconds. Okay, so that is how we are doing this. Across Earth's surface, defense systems that supposedly did not exist came online. Orbital platforms that should not have been possible materialized from what Krell had assumed were defunct satellites. How long have those been active? Thane whispered. Unknown. The humans apparently camouflaged military installations as space debris. That is actually clever. I know it disturbs me greatly, but the humans were not just activating defenses. They were broadcasting, on every frequency, in multiple languages, some of which Krell's systems could not translate. You damaged our moon, one transmission said. The speaker's voice unnaturally calm. That moon has been there for 4.5 billion years. It affects our tides, our werewolf mythology, our romantic songs. You damaged our moon. This seems like an overreaction to a celestial body, Thane observed. Below the transmission interrupted. Hey Korvath fleet. Fun fact. You know what humans do when they are scared. Drax did not respond. We get angry. You know what we do when we are angry. Still no response. We get creative. The first human ship launched from Earth's surface, then another, then hundreds. They were not military vessels. Krell's sensors identified cargo haulers, civilian transports, even what appeared to be a recreational yacht, all armed. They weaponized everything, Krell said flatly. Civilian vessels, cargo ships. They put weapons on everything. The yacht has missile launchers. Thane confirmed. Hidden in the leisure deck. The space battle that followed defied every tactical manual Krell had ever studied. Human ships moved in patterns that made no sense. They broke formation, reformed randomly. Some ships accelerated directly at Korvath vessels, others retreated then attacked from unexpected vectors. There is no coordination, Drax shouted over the command frequency. They have no strategy. How are we losing ships? Because Krell realized the humans were not using strategy. They were using chaos. Intentional, weaponized chaos. The Korvath tactical computers could not predict movements that followed no logical pattern. A human cargo hauler, damaged and venting atmosphere, rammed a Korvath destroyer. Both exploded. They are sacrificing themselves, Drax said, his voice carrying disbelief. For a planet, for each other. More human ships launched, not from Earth now, but from their moon. The moon they claimed to care about. The moon that now bristled with previously hidden military installations. They armed their moon, Krell said. They actually armed their moon. Of course they did, Than replied. Why would they not? The battle turned. Korvath shields, designed to withstand concentrated military fire, struggled against the sheer unpredictability of human tactics. A mining vessel used industrial equipment to tear through armor plating. A passenger liner deployed weapons that violated at least 4 galactic conventions. Retreat, Drax ordered finally. Full retreat. But the humans were not finished. They pursued. Not to destroy, to deliver a message. Human ships surrounded the fleeing Korvath fleet, matching their speed. Then simultaneously, every human vessel broadcast the same transmission. A human female appeared on screen. She wore formal clothing and held a cup of what Krell's database identified as coffee. Hi there, she said pleasantly. My name is Director Maya Torres. On behalf of Earth, I would like to clarify something. We did not build weapons because we are afraid of you. We built them because we are afraid of us. If we can create devices to destroy ourselves, we can certainly handle external threats. Your attack on our moon was cute, misguided, but cute. Here is what happens next. She sipped her coffee. You leave. You tell everyone you meet that Earth is off limits, not because we said so, because you do not want to find out what we do when we actually get serious. What you saw today, that was us being polite. We have other options. Options we really do not want to use, mostly because we are not entirely sure we can control them once we start. Questions. Silence from the Korvath fleet. Great. Safe travels. Do not come back. The transmission ended. The Korvath fleet jumped to hyperspace and did not look back. Krell and Thane sat in stunned silence. They won, Thane said finally. They did more than win, Krell replied. They sent a message to the entire galaxy. Earth is not defenseless. Earth is defended by humans, which is somehow more terrifying. He closed the monitoring data, but not before noting one final detail. On Earth, the humans were already arguing again. About the battle tactics. About whether the response was proportional. About who got credit for the victory. Business as usual. Mark my words, Commander. Krell said quietly. Humans will either unite the galaxy or destroy it. I am not certain which outcome is preferable. Perhaps both, Thane suggested. Krell did not disagree. Somewhere in the void, Earth continued rotating. Defenseless, and absolutely untouchable.